Welcome back to another MicMac tabletop review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Ruger LCP MAX 75th Anniversary Stainless 380 Semi-Automatic Pistol. This is the very popular Ruger LCP MAX. If you're familiar with the Ruger LCP, the LCP MAX is the third major variant. It's basically the same gun in a double-stack 10+1 configuration. I've owned a number of these Ruger LCP, starting with the very first model that was released in 2008, and then I upgraded to the much improved LCP2 model released in 2016. By the way, the LCP stands for Little Carry Pistol. Here's my LCP2 with a whole grip sleeve and integrated frame laser. Ruger bases the design of the 6-round LCP on Kel-Tec's model P3AT, the very first of the 380 pocket pistols. And here's my Kel-Tec P3AT. As you can see, the similarities are obvious. Now, Ruger's original LCP was okay, but had a downright horrible trigger. To Ruger's credit, the LCP has gone through a number of improvement evaluations throughout its history until we have the latest version, this LCP MAX. As I said, the biggest improvement of the LCP MAX is the increase in capacity from just 6 rounds to 10+1 rounds, and there's even a 12+1 round magazine available for the MAX. In addition, the LCP MAX has improved sights, better ergonomics, and even a little better trigger still offered at a reasonable price. Pretty cool. And that's been one of Ruger's major marketing advantages, continual improvement based upon its customers' interests. This particular model here is the 75th anniversary stainless LCP MAX 380 pocket pistol, sporting a stainless slide with a celebratory etched logo on top. I picked this one up a few months ago at a local gun store for a special sale price of $280, down more than $50 from its typical sale price of $333. I've been toying with trading off my LCP2 for one without a frame laser. I've never really liked the button-activated laser on this gun. If I'm going to carry a pistol with a laser, it ought to be intuitively activated, such as with a touch or grip-activated system. So when I saw this 10-round LCP MAX, and the 75th anniversary model at that, on sale for less than I paid for my LCP2, well, that seemed like a pretty good deal. So here it is. But as you can see, I also decided to hang on to my LCP2, at least for this review. Now, before we go any further, let's make sure this gun is cleared first. By the way, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Now let's start off by covering a brief history of Ruger and the LCP. Ruger is a large U.S. manufacturer of firearms. After World War II, copying the design of a Japanese Nambu Type 14 pistol, Ruger created the Ruger Standard Model 22 pistol in 1949, which looked a lot like the coveted German P08, and as such immediately became popular with the American public. This would launch the Ruger Company, and the rest, as they say, is history. By the way, the current Ruger Mark IV is the latest variant of that original design and still remains as one of the most popular 22 pistols in the world. But the important thing about Ruger has been its successful design of firearms, economical engineering, as well as sound business and manufacturing practices, which allow the Sturm Ruger Company to become one of the most successful United States manufacturers ever. To that point, after World War II, there were many 22 rimfire pistols entering the market, but Ruger was able to dominate the market with its attractive, reliable, accurate, and affordable pistol. And in the years that followed, Ruger continually produced mechanically improved models in order to maintain that position. Moving ahead to the Ruger LCP, and we see Ruger again improving on an existing pistol design. This time it was the Kel-Tec P3AT, and producing a more improved design that eventually dominated the market. Well, Kel-Tec had successfully packaged an extremely lightweight, affordable 6-round 380 pistol into the tiniest of concealable firearms at the time. Some would argue that the Kel-Tec P3AT was highly successful because it was basically the only choice for a 380 micro pistol during those early years. Although an impressive accomplishment at the time, Kel-Tec never offered improvements on the P3AT, and so it would eventually be outpaced by its biggest competitor, Ruger, with the launch of the Ruger LCP. And keep in mind this was quite a feat in itself for Ruger, given the aggressive growth of the .380 pocket carry pistol boom of the early 2000s through 2020. During that era, everyone was trying to get in on the micro pocket craze, as it were. But note that Ruger also applied its company continuous improvement business philosophy to the LCP. So we see several improved versions of the LCP, which along with very competitive pricing allowed Ruger to maintain its lead over its competition even to this day. Quite impressive. And this latest version, the LCP MAX, is an excellent example of Ruger's ability to meet market demand and even exceed ever-changing expectations of its customers. As for packaging, note that we have a special 75th anniversary cardboard box for this Ruger LCP MAX. We have a good manual and other paperwork. We have the traditional Ruger lock. There's only one magazine, but Ruger includes a pinky extension, and a 12-round and extra 10-round magazines are available for about $30 each. There's a usable pocket holster, very nice, better than the useless pouch that came with the original LCP. And oh yes, a loading assist tool. As for specifications, the LCP MAX is a .380 ACP hammered-fired, double-action-only automatic pocket pistol with numerous variations available. From laser-equipped to multiple color options, Ruger continues to offer the LCP in a multitude of formats. This one is the 75th anniversary model. The magazine capacity is 10 rounds and a 12-round magazine is available. The slide material is stainless steel. The slide finish is a matte stainless with polished sides. Slide serrations are on the front and the rear. Front sight is a trinium green with a white outline. The rear sight is a good size with flat front and serrated rear. Both sights are dovetailed and drift adjustable. The grip is black high-performance glass-filled nylon. The barrel material is alloy steel. The barrel finish is black oxide. The barrel length is 2.8 inches. The trigger is a fairly flat dongled safety design. There's a slide lock here. There's a takedown pin here. Mag release is here, and it is reversible. Magazines again are double stacked 10 and 12 round. Overall length is 5.17 inches. Slide width is 0.81 inches. Height is 4.12 inches, and weight is 10.6 ounces. Now, before we go to the range, let's talk a little bit about function. And let me just acknowledge at the start here that personally, I've never been a huge fan of the LCP. Now, that being said, I do have a great deal of respect for the design. Flat, light, and very capable. There's no doubt the Ruger LCP is one of the most successful .380 pocket pistols ever produced. And Ruger's success in basically maintaining the LCP's best features while increasing its capacity to 10+1 rounds in its latest version, the LCP MAX, is certainly an impressive accomplishment, and undoubtedly this trinium front sight is a terrific improvement. I'd really like to like this gun, but for me the LCP's grips and trigger, while better, still fall short for my needs. Now, let me restate what I usually say about choosing to carry a micro pistol. If you've chosen to carry a small pocket pistol, you've sort of given up your right to complain about what comes from shortened grips, a short barrel, small sights, lightweight leading to snappy recoil, and difficulty controlling and maintaining accuracy. Of course, we do anyway. Complain, that is. Me too, but I'll acknowledge that a good portion of my problems with these little guns is due to my own limitations. Basically, I have large hands with long fingers. Oh yes, no doubt there's more grip length and thickness here with the LCP MAX, which really helps. As I said, in my opinion, the fault lies more with my long fingers, especially my trigger finger. I can tell because my shots tend to the left and because the occasional trigger finger pinch. By the way, if I shoot this gun much, I tend to develop a finger blister. The result is that I don't really enjoy taking this gun to the range, and maintaining consistent accuracy remains a challenge for me. Now, you might recall that I have a frame laser on my Ruger LCP 2 along with a Hogue grip sleeve. Thus equipped, the LCP 2 is actually not a bad little .380 pocket pistol for me, and I feel confident carrying it. So I suspect I'll need to add at least Hogue grips to this LCP MAX to make it fit a little bit better for me. But for now, I'm just going to test it out as it is, with the expectation that my reoccurring Ruger LCP issues will probably continue. Overall, the LCP MAX with its thicker, longer grips does feel better in the hand than the LCP 2, but I can only get 2 fingers around these grips and they still have that Ruger boxy feel. There's only a very slight undercut to the trigger guard, and the curved beaver tail keeps the hand low enough to avoid slide bite. Grip stippling is moderate, but a little too light for my preference, although ergonomically the LCP MAX has less felt recoil. But again, a whole grip sleeve might be a good solution. The reversible magazine release button is sure and easily ejects the magazine. The steel magazine appears well made and the plastic follower is black. I find that interesting since many manufacturers have gone to red, yellow, or orange followers, which I prefer as a quick identifier. No problem loading 10 rounds using the load assist tool for those last rounds. The narrow top of the mag makes inserting the mag into the mag well sure and easy with a nice solid click when seated. The slide serrations front and rear are pronounced and actually rather sharp on the stainless steel 75th anniversary slide, and the little ears at the end on the LCP 2 and the standard LCP MAX slides are non-existent here. However, the slide is easy enough to wreck, although it's just a little gritty. Much lighter to wreck than my Car P38, but nowhere near as light as my Sig P238. The slide stop is small and way too stiff to release a slide by thumb, although I've seen people do it with the LCP MAX, so it might get easier with use. There's no external safety on this gun, and note that there's no mag safety, so this gun can be fired without a magazine. However, there is a trigger safety. By the way, note that the dovetail tritium front sight has a green center with a white outline, and the dovetail rear sight provides a nice tight picture, notably better sights than the snag-free milled-in LCP 2 sights. As for the trigger, this LCP MAX seems a little improved over my LCP 2, still not great. Take up, length of pole, and crimpness are about the same, but the brake average is about 6.5 pounds, which is about a pound less than my LCP 2, and a reset on the MAX seems just slightly shorter and crisper, although that may just be in my head. So, at least for me, the LCP MAX trigger just seems slightly better, but just sort of average as triggers go. Okay, let's take this little gun out on the range and see how we do. Remember that Ruger LCPs have always been popular pocket pistols because of their ease of carry, being small, light, and flat. But realistically, they're basically belly pistols meant for quick close-up self-defense. Now that being said, it would be nice if the gun would be effective at a distance as well. So we have the natural struggle between ease of carry and shootability and accuracy, if you will. But acknowledging the obvious, that such guns are not really intended for distance shooting. I usually start at about 15 to 18 feet for point and shoot pocket pistols. So let's start out at 15 feet, which is my typical training distance for micro or pocket pistols, and see how I do. I'm shooting Remington UMC 95 grain full metal jacket ammo here. By the way, the Ruger LCP MAX came with a magazine pinky base to provide for a better grip, and a 12-round longer base magazine is also available. But I'm just going to test this gun out with the flush base standard 10-round magazine it came with. Well, that wasn't great. Yep, I tend to have trouble getting my finger at the right location of the trigger, so my first shots went wide to the left. Let's try that again. I'm better centered, but my shots are trending low. I like that front sight, and the sight picture is good. I can't complain about this trigger. It's actually not that bad. It's just me. I think I'm reacting to these grips and the snappiness of this gun, which seems a little better than my LCP2, but I'm probably trying to override and control the gun with my wrist going in a downward motion as I shoot. Let's try a little rapid fire. Well, obviously, I need some practice. Okay, I'm going to take a little break here and get my head in the right place. The gun itself is actually fine. Feels and acts like a typical Ruger LCP, although this LCP MAX is certainly more comfortable to shoot, far better sights, and even a better trigger, but to be honest, it just doesn't feel very good to me. I think adding a pinky base would help, but that's also why I added a whole grip sleeve to my LCP2. Notice how there's a slim palm swell to better feel my hand and how the finger grooves naturally position my fingers and steady my grip. The texture not only provides good comfort, it also increases my grip. And the beaver tail not only extends the trigger position, better for my long trigger finger, and provides cushioning, but it allows for a higher grip and reduces felt recoil. So if I'm going to ever carry this LCP MAX, I believe adding a whole grip sleeve will probably be inevitable. Meanwhile, I'm going to try and concentrate and compensate a bit here. Let's see how I do. Okay, I'm moving the target out to 25 feet, my typical training distance, and I'm trying hard to pay attention to my personal issues with this gun. Let's see if I can do a little better. Well, that was more like it. I can still see my tendencies reflected in my shot placements, but I think I've done a better job of controlling them. It's not bad. I've only got 4 rounds left. Let's just see if I can stay on target at 35 feet. Yeah, I'm happy with that. As I said, the gun is fine, and obviously I can shoot it if I work at it, but I need to practice with it. And while a whole grip sleeve would add to the gun's bulk, I suspect it would also make a big difference in my performance. I'll need to think about that. Okay, let's talk about cons for the Ruger LCP MAX first. To begin, the MAX comes with only one magazine. Most people are going to want that extra magazine, so it's a bit disappointing. And while the double stack magazine has added some fullness and length to the LCP MAX's grips, they are still boxy and small, and the stippling is a little too light for my taste. On the other hand, the serrations on the stainless steel slide are quite sharp. Further, if you don't get your fingers properly positioned, you'll still run the risk of a trigger bite or a blister. And according to the reports, there's a break-in period for the LCP MAX of about 150 to 200 rounds. And by the way, note that ringing sound when you dry fire the LCP MAX. It's due to the design of the hammer spring. Yes, there are trigger solutions that will eliminate that, but it's there otherwise. Also, the LCP's disassembly still requires a removal of its takedown pin. And finally, to be honest, the Ruger LCP MAX is just not much fun to shoot. Of course, it was never meant to be. As for pros, the Ruger LCP MAX is made in America, and there's little doubt the Ruger LCP MAX is a significant improvement. Getting 10 rounds into a footprint only slightly larger than its predecessor is absolutely brilliant, and Ruger must be commended for the accomplishment. Also, slightly longer 12-round magazines are available at a reasonable price. And while the gun ships with only one 10-round magazine, a base pinky extension is provided. In addition, the mag release button is reversible, and Ruger provides a load assist tool to help you get those tougher last rounds loaded. Another plus is the very light weight of this 10-round pocket pistol, just over 10 ounces. There's no magazine disconnect, nor is there a manual thumb safety. Adding a dovetail set of real sights to the LCP MAX's slide with a tritium front sight should also be praised. And note the rear slide square front face for one-handed cocking. And improvements to the LCP MAX's trigger just add to the overall package. Yes, I also think the stainless steel anniversary slide with its Agile logo gives the gun quite a striking look. So in general, the LCP MAX 75th anniversary model is actually pretty cool. I've only shot a few hundred rounds so far of assorted ammos, including Hornady defensive rounds, but I've had no failures, none. And by the way, the LCP MAX is so close in dimensions to the LCP2 that all my holsters for the LCP2 fit the LCP MAX just fine. In addition, support for the LCP MAX is also pretty good, with extra magazines, even 12-round magazines, holsters, whole grips, and even lasers and trigger packages being readily available. And for a reliable .380 pocket pistol available for less than $300, the Ruger LCP MAX is affordable, and you've got to appreciate that. Disassembly and reassembly of the Ruger LCP MAX is the same as it's always been for the LCP. Start by making sure the gun is empty. Rack the slide back to lock open. Remove the magazine. Use a thin screwdriver or an empty shell casing to pry the takedown pin up and remove. Release the slide and allow it to come forward and off the frame. Remove the recoil spring and rod. Remove the barrel. And that's it. For reassembly, follow the takedown steps in reverse. Return the barrel, recoil spring and rod to the slide. Make sure everything is centered. Return the slide to the frame. Bring it back slightly on the frame. Return the takedown pin to the frame. Release the slide. Return a magazine and test for function. And that's it. As for price, the manufacturer's suggested retail price on the Ruger LCP MAX is $469, but current national sales data would suggest a real price closer to around $300. And note that while the Ruger LCP MAX is still relatively new to the market, Genetron.com suggests that a used Ruger LCP MAX is worth about the same as a new one, which says something about how the market views the LCP MAX. As I said earlier, I was able to pick this one up new for only $280, so it's well worth shopping around. And since Ruger offers its retailers a pretty good discount for buying larger lots, you might want to check out the larger dealers in your area for what might be a better price. Now, before we end today's video, I'd like to remind you, if you haven't already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe down below. And thanks for watching. Well, based upon public interest, which has always been pretty high for the Ruger LCP, the higher capacity MAX model released in 2021 appears to continue Ruger's successful run of the LCP. And why wouldn't that be the case? Well, basically maintaining the small, flat format of the LCP, but expanding its capacity to 10 or 12 rounds, and adding improved ergonomics and comfort, superior sights, and even a better trigger at an affordable price, Ruger has hit another home run with the LCP MAX. Sure, it's still a micro pistol with many of the inherent compromises and limitations that come from a small .380, but you've got to appreciate what Ruger has accomplished. And the 75th anniversary model is a pretty nice iteration on that successful theme. Not bad. So, wrapping up, let me just say that while I've had my own personal challenges with the Ruger LCP, I don't view it as the gun's fault. First of all, as a pocket pistol, in many respects, the Ruger LCP is what it is. But just look at what Ruger has created within that context of a pocket pistol. And Ruger, like most manufacturers, strive to produce a product that fits most people. By itself, that's a pretty tough assignment. The fact that the LCP has remained as popular as it has over the years would suggest that Ruger has certainly accomplished its goal. But just like I can't usually find a suit off the rack that will fit me, I don't expect all handguns to fit me either. And that's the case with the Ruger LCP. Fortunately, there are aftermarket solutions for most of these issues. All that aside, the Ruger LCP MAX 75th anniversary model is really pretty good and an affordable little pocket pistol. 10 or 12 round capacity and a small, flat, easy to conceal package with excellent sights and a nice trigger. And let's be realistic here. The LCP MAX was never designed as a range toy. It's a serious, easy to carry, pocket-sized defense weapon, and quite frankly, as such, it truly is pretty impressive. Any weapon you carry is better than the one you left at home. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll be back for my next tabletop review. Until next time, stay safe.